Keith Williams and Kalpesh Patel in Dubai, also known as the One Neo. And I'm Morpheus, guys. Or if you prefer, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker. Welcome to leadership training today. Brilliant. The sun's out, Calps, here in London. Brilliant, 23 degrees. I couldn't think of any other place than to be at leadership while the sun is shining outside. That's what it's about. That's what I'm talking about. How are you, my friend? The sun's always shining in Dubai.
It is indeed. I'm really superb. Thank you very much. Great to be here. As always, my highlight of the week. I'm always looking forward to our Saturday afternoon interactions with the leaders in the field that are making things happen. So here we are once again. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Packed out room, nice and early, and goodness knows how many are on the overflow link as well on top. So these are the people around the world that are moving and shaking and leading the way.
I'm excited, Calps. The future is bright, really 100%. Bright. And,
absolutely. Lots of changes happening right now, taking us into an amazing space. So again, as I connect with leaders around the world, we're educating ourselves, teaching ourselves about this new economy that is emerging, the metaverse, and how hyperverse is positioned, as I like to say, the first blockchain-based metaverse that allows the public to take advantage of the space with a huge, credible background. I love that.
Let's forget a community that is focused on education. I missed you last week. I just got back from Miami, BTC Miami. What an event. 40 to 50,000 through the gates over the 4 days. And guess what? They all lacked knowledge. they heard the word Bitcoin, but they totally lacked knowledge.
Wow.
I tell you, it was great. I was just completely overwhelmed. I sat in the lobby, in the hallway, just looking at people walking up and down. Ain't got a clue, no clue whatsoever. And as soon as I mentioned we got an education platform, we have 1.5 students in our university. Boom!
Wow.
Name number. Brilliant. That's what we
got. Lead generation at its best.
Let's understand this, Cal. The education here is second to none. You can go from zero knowledge, like you'd be the first to admit you had zero knowledge around crypto. I don't think I think you might have bought Bitcoin one time and you forgot how to do it.
Bitcoin like 2 years before through a friend. I gave him the money. He bought me a Bitcoin, gave me my account access. I never logged back in. Didn't even know what to do next.
But now look at you, and look at us, look at all of us here. So it's brilliant. I'm excited. As I said, the sun's out. I'm in this sweaty little office, nice and tight, but it's okay because we're with our family. We're having a great time. It's going to be a wonderful leadership. Calvin, I'm only going to be with you for about an hour and a half, maybe two max. We'll see how we'll see how the flow goes. But we spoke before the call, and we wanted to talk about vision, long-term thinking versus short-term thinking, or short-term thinking versus long-term thinking, depending on how you guys are looking at it. But certainly, Sonia's smiling away. Wealthy High. Wealthy's in Toronto. What a great name. Can you imagine being called Wealthy? I love that. I met him in Toronto a couple of weeks ago. Great guy. But Calps, short-term thinking versus long-term thinking. And we're going to talk about that today because certainly the owners, the management are focused on the vision that we sort of, bought into from day one. And 2.5 years later, still we're focused on the vision. 1.5 million students is nowhere near where we want to be. We want to have 3, 5, 10 million students in this huge university, introducing them to the metaverse through hyperverse and what's coming down the pipe. As I said, vision and long-term thinking. And why? Because these guys are doing it for us anyway. Look at this great membership at 2.0 Calps. Brilliant. What a great membership. Still winning.
Well, listen, I mean, again, a lot of people can't get their head around how numbers work. So I'd love to just touch on that very quickly. I do love numbers. For those of you that made it through any level of, I'd say, secondary school education maths classes, all right? So from the age of 11 to 15, 16, they would have taught you that 3 times something is good, 4 times something is freaking off the chain awesome. Now, if you didn't learn that back then, maybe you need to just refresh your mind and learn that now, right? That 4 times, if you went into any showroom of any kind anywhere in the world, and on one side somebody said, you know what, I'm going to give you 3 watches for that, and somebody said, well, I'll give you 4 watches for the same money. Guess what you should do? Don't be a Dumbo. Grab the 4. All right? It's like real simple, basic maths, and it's a beautiful thing. So we've now got the ability to really go out there and blow people away with that fantastic offer. I think the company pulled a blinder because what they did, if we all remember, just a very quick recap, is they told us from the outset, and they've always, in every presentation, they told us they do this. They started off at 3.5x.
Yes,
it used to be like 0.7, 0.8% a day in the beginning, right?
Yeah, remember that.
And then they shifted to 3x and 0.5, and then they always told us, look, this is a promotion. Albeit we did get the promotion extended at one point, where they wanted to drop it 2.5 early, and then they pulled back to 3 because we said, please let us.
No, we went down to 2.5. We went down to 2.5,
Yeah.
and we were going to go to 2. We were like 2 weeks away from them announcing it going down to 2.
Yeah.
We said, guys, give us a chance.
Back.
We've got a little bit of traction here, a little bit of momentum. Just give us a chance. We did the 1 month promotion at 3 times scalps, and the rest is history.
Absolutely.
Now we got 4
They gave us, they gave us a good long stretch at 3x without dropping to 2.5x again, or 2, which was always the plan.
We did, yeah.
And now instead going forward again, for very, very obvious reasons, when you look at the numbers, for very obvious reasons, they are trimming on the passive side of things, which is still phenomenal. 9% a month, 108% a year is better than any financial opportunity that I've ever looked at.
Repeat that again, Charles. 9% a month, 108% a year.
Better than anything I've seen in all of my years. Pretty awesome, isn't it? For being part of a community.
It's under those numbers.
Yeah, it's better than my... So look, I've got crypto.com cards. I'm a member of their premium club, and they give me 12% a year, 1% a month. And guess what? I'm excited because all of the other memberships below that give you even less. I have a Starbucks card. I get a 1 in 10 free. I do.
You drink at Starbucks?
No, I don't drink there. I entertain there. There's one down the road. So I'm always buying people coffees. I thought, let me get myself a card and save myself a 1 in 10 there. So every 10 I buy, they give me 1 free. Pretty good deal, So I don't refuse it. I don't say no, it's all right.
You're looking out for the deal, Cal. You're always looking out for the deals, mate.
It's the Patel in me, man. You can't get rid of it. It's the Patel in me.
The Patel in you. I love that. Oh, that's hilarious.
But, and it's that mindset, just knowing that, saving money is better than not saving money, isn't it? It's a real simple concept. Multiplying is better than not multiplying.
Yeah.
All right. So just start getting those basic concepts into your psyche and understand that there's an abundance in the world, and hyper is giving us access to a level of abundance. I put a post up yesterday, Keith, on my different social medias. You might have seen it's a picture of the last 5 years of Bitcoin and how it's produced 10,000% in 5 years.
Oh,
now,
wow.
Yeah, 2,000% a year as an average if you divided it up. And so, I said, there are people out there that won't believe that it's possible to produce those kind of results. Well, guess what? In the right spaces, at the right times, with the right actions, people have produced that and far more. All right. So,
the guys in the regulated space that have been there for donkey's years, they eat, live, and breathe regulated 5%, 6% per year. That's really great. Let's get a pension going. You might just have just enough money to survive, to survive before you go. I mean,
well, it's funny you mentioned that word regulated. So I actually said on my post, the post said, regulated population will say this is not possible. And here it is. So, regulated people say, no, that's not possible. We can't do that. That's regulated people. We are deregulated people. All right. So when you're a deregulated person, you're open to ideas. When you're regulated, you're not open to ideas. So, that's what we've got here. We've got an industry that's phenomenal. We've got people at the steering wheel that are absolutely the number one in their space. They are the Roger Bannisters of the world. They are the people that are leading the way. They're taking the risk. They're breaking boundaries, breaking records, creating new paths that have not been created before. And if you don't know the Roger Bannister story, I'll very quickly remind the few that may not have heard of it. First man to run the 4-minute mile, and before he did it, all of the medical experts around the world said that if a human being tried to run a 4-minute mile, their heart would explode and they'd drop dead on the spot. That was the belief forever until he came along and tested the belief, broke through it, and it was within a year, hundreds of people flew through the 4-minute mile because they knew it was now possible. That's what these guys are doing.
Les Brown talks about that all the time, and 20,000 plus have done the 4-minute mile, less than 4 minutes. I think it's probably up at 40,000 now that have done and we're talking about teenagers as well. So,
exactly.
but, talking about posting, Cal, something came up this morning, so I thought I'd nick it and send it to the rest of my groups. And I think it's sort of relevant for today's call. We're talking about long-term thinking, vision. One reason people resist change is that they focus on what they have to give up instead of what they have to gain. I mean, that was like, boom, this morning, I like words, and that was it, boom. That made sense. I thought, that's a perfect topic.
Isn't it?
Focus on what they have to give up than
what they have to gain.
And
again, what you're describing there...
Fear loss is the driver, isn't it? More people are moved by fear loss than desire for gain.
Gain, correct, 100%. So what you're describing there is inbuilt into the psyche of people through the systems that have been created, right? So the difference is entrepreneurs and non-entrepreneurs, right? Or what I like to call wantrepreneurs. People that would like to be entrepreneurs, they want to be entrepreneurs, but they haven't got a Scooby-Doo where to start, and it starts with thinking, all right? So entrepreneurs will be motivated, inspired, and led by their vision of their future. And wantrepreneurs are stuck in their history of what's not possible, how it's always been, how everyone before them did. They're stuck in another way of thinking, and that's the difference. So you've got to shift gears. You've got to get out of that wantrepreneur thinking and into entrepreneur thinking. And the way you're going to do that is spot yourself when you're talking something down instead of talking it up, when you're ripping it apart, when you should be building it up, right? So it's like really just understand that simple mindset. When you see something and you see it as negative, boom, you're screwed. If you see something and see it as a blessing, boom, you're thriving. Little simple things, right? It's not rocket science. We do our best, leading from the front, to teach as many as possible, as often as possible. We do leadership every Saturday, 2 years solid, non-stop, consistent. We do nuts and bolts the last, I don't know how many months, 4 months, I think, of non-stop, twice a week, nuts and bolts. And I know there are many, many leaders that do their own leadership development within their own groups. We do everything we can. There's tons of support and structures around, but if you're not plugging into them, then all of this sounds like gobbledygook. All of this becomes something that's like a foreign language to you. You've got no clue what I'm even talking about when I say spot your negative thinking. Like, you can't distinguish it as negative thinking. You actually think that's just the way it is. I'm not being negative. I'm just being real is one that I hear. And I'm like, real, whatever you say it is. I know, right? I'm being real. Like the positive thinking people are being liars or something, right? It's like, what are you talking about being real? What does that even mean? You've got two options, right? You either, like I said, break it, you tear it down, break it down, rip it apart, or you don't. You build it up and understand it better and see it from a better perspective, right? From higher ground. So, but again, people that refuse to learn, people that refuse to grow, will always stand in real, because it's a safe middle ground to stand in, isn't it? I'm being real. Congratulations. How's that working out for you? So,
repeat the 9%. It's 9% a month, 108% a year that you will get in terms of rewards, which is fabulous. It's
until you add quadruple.
Then you get 4 times what you started. So, listen, hey, it's such a great move by the company. So clever at what they've done and what they've offered, which is still extremely generous in the grand scheme of things. If you compare us to anything else out there, as I said, with that quote,
Oh, and let's rephrase that. Anything else credible out there?
You're right. Many people jump off this one to go somewhere else because it's a nice, bright, shiny new object, and they jump on and they guess what? We can't save them. They come back again.
Exactly. I had somebody. Somebody tried to pull a bit of a wool over our eyes. Myself and Dizzy were invited to an event, or not an event, a meeting with somebody, one-to-one with somebody that's done really well in crypto. Yeah. So being open-minded to go and pitch anyone anywhere, we were like, okay, let's go and get them.
Let's go get him. I love it.
Yeah, let's go get him, right? So we went to his office. We sat down, and before we knew it, we were being pitched. And we're like, hold on, This wasn't the setup. Or it was a setup. It wasn't the setup we had in hand, mind. It was another setup, right?
You want to go and get him and he's pitching you.
Yeah, I'm sitting there going, what's going on here? This is a bit weird. Anyway, after 15, 20 minutes, we'd already said we only had half an hour anyway. 15, 20 minutes, all the holes appeared, all the usual stuff. And I'm sitting there going, I didn't want to be disrespectful, right? That's not one thing that I don't do is be disrespectful. So I said, look, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And yeah, you know, no doubt you'll do well. Congratulations and good luck with it. And off we went. And then the guy contacts after, so you know, what do you reckon? I'm like, what I reckon is you don't understand what you're in. I said, feel free to go and do that. If that's what you're doing, I mean, that's where you sent us. First of all, it wasn't very classy sending us unprepared into an environment that wasn't us sharing what we're doing with him, but the other way around. I said, that wasn't cool. So, but that aside, just so you know, this, and this means that you're looking to fall from a nice, 100th floor building flat on your face within the next 6 months. And if that's where you want to lead your people and that's where you want to head, congratulations, go for it. So people don't know. That's what the point is. People don't know. They can't distinguish between long-term and short-term. They're led by greed and instant coffee, McDonald's. They want it all now, right? And they're led by that mindset. It's a mess. And I was just like, wow, this guy's brilliant potential, lots to offer, really great heart, but completely misguided. Completely hasn't got his dials, his needles on the dashboard. You know, in the old days when your speedometer wasn't working, it just bounced around. Remember those in the old cars? They'd just do that. He was like that. He just thinking,
those speedometers.
Yeah. He was like that. Just hasn't got a clue. Yeah. Well, listen. Some of you on this Zoom are thinking, what speedometers are you talking about? The cars that are really cheap that you pick up for a couple of £100. Those ones.
Well, we started, Cal. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that, man. The cars still were. We still know what speed they were going.
But you know, you're right, Cal. I mean, the thing is, we've been here for 2.5 years, and I could probably list 20 companies that have come and gone in the crypto space in the last 2.5 years. In the last year, probably 7 or 8, maybe 9 have come and gone in the last 12 months. Last 6 months, I mean, I can list them off. I won't mention names because if you were part of those companies, you're here now, you found a home. But when you say that, Cal, I think that for me, the reason why, every day this is my purpose and my drive, is I want to save the heartache and pain that's out there for people who just want something credible, real. They want a real chance, hope. And my job is to protect those individuals from jumping in, like I did, Cal. This is your first deal.
We do our best.
Now, over the last 6 years, I've been hit a few times, mate, and I've woken up and, they've hit the iceberg.
It's like, wake up one morning and there's nothing there. Hello?
I didn't make the lifeboat, mate. It was gone. I'm still on the ship.
The lifeboat left without you.
Yeah, when you wake up one day and they hit the iceberg last night and you're sinking, you've lost all your crypto, everything's gone. So, I wake up every day trying to help people to make that decision in the crypto space. But we always got to focus on the education here. Yeah. That's there's so much value in that. Yes, we are a great community, a great family. We've got fantastic community members. Well, not all of them. Let's be honest. For the vast majority, it's just, for me, I can see that there's a little bit of an internal battle going on, but it's okay. It's like the dark side versus the force, It's like Darth Vader versus, the Jedis. We understand that, guys. You got to decide whether you're going to be on the dark side or you're going to be a Jedi. Are you a Jedi? Because that's what I want to know. Are you here and doing phenomenal work? But
I hope only Jedis get into this call, first of all. I mean, if you're not a Jedi and you're on this call, goodness gracious. It's like, what is going on there? How did you even end up here? How did you even get in?
Darth Vader was a Jedi to start off with.
He was indeed. He was.
He turned to the dark side. And
actually, it's a really good point, actually.
I've seen that in the Telegram group.
Yes. Some people may identify.
Force, and now,
I'm
talking movies today, guys. The fun's out. I mean, why should we be talking, movies and just bringing the connections to what we have here, because you can learn a lot from the movies. But the bottom line is this, Cal. Everyone should be a Jedi on here. You know, you guys are champions, you know, special individuals. If it wasn't for you, we would not be here. We would not have built this beautiful community and this infrastructure that serves the community so well. And we leave the company to do what they do best, which is to avoid the iceberg. You know, it's there, we can see it. Let's make the course corrections and let's get around that obstacle. And that's what they're doing constantly.
All the time. And do you know what? It's a little bit like the analogy I gave somebody. I said, have you ever had your gas prices or electricity prices put up on you in the middle of a run between bills? And they just looked at me and went, "I get your point. Sorry, thank you very much. Point made."
Right now, I left to go to Dubai. I came back 3 weeks. The price of gas, petrol went up by 30%. I said, "What happened?" I mean, that's
market conditions happened, right? So again, it's no different here. These guys are real business people, and hence they do what needs to be done to, again, it's that long-term thinking, that visionary, that ability to be one step ahead, that visionary mindset that they have naturally. And again, that's why I always lean on the backdrop of who they are and what they've created. Some of us forget who we're with here. And what happens is fear takes over, and that's when you step over to, as Keith says, the dark side, right? So you were once a Jedi, and then somebody planted some seeds, some silly seeds in your head, and you let them grow. You started watering them, nurturing them, focusing on them, and they started to sprout, and suddenly your mind was full of weeds, and you went onto the dark side. That's all that happened, right? So how do you de-weed your mind? Back to the due diligence. Get yourself back to the facts. Remind yourself why you said yes. Remind yourself why this was different, why this was solid, why this was as great as it gets, because Ryan Shu and Sam Lee absolutely know how to build multiple times multi-billion-dollar organizations. This isn't a rodeo for them. This isn't new territory for them. They have navigated choppy waters on multiple occasions to get to where they have in multiple organizations and in one industry by multiple different companies. And that for me is who we've got steering the ship. So I'm cool as a cucumber. I'm like, just, you know, they will know how to manage this journey better than I will. How do I know that? Because they've done it before and I haven't, right? That's all. It's as simple as that. I trust their judgment. I trust their decision-making. I trust their mathematics. I trust when they say, Keith, Kalpesh, this is what works for the next phase of our build. Does it work for you? And we go, of course it does. If you say it works, it works. I don't need to sit here and teach you how to do the numbers. If you're saying this is what works, we're good to go. Let's run. Versus,
going back to what we said, short-term thinking versus long-term thinking.
Exactly. I was just going to say versus going, me. What's in it for me? What about me? What about me? No, hold on a second. It's not about the individual. It's about the organization. It's about, that's long-term thinking. Long-term thinking generally is when you think outside of yourself. Short-term thinking, generally speaking, is when you're only thinking about yourself. It's survival, it's fear, it's greed, it's immediate, it's all of those things, right? That's the short-term thinking mentality. Yeah. Long-term thinking is altruistic, it's outside of yourself, it's further than you, it's more than you, it's bigger than you, it's all of those things. Just adjustment. You've got to learn how to do this. It's not natural for most people. And it's a learned skill. Get committed to learning it, right? There's plenty out there to help you do that, especially these calls. Like we say, we cover that on these calls consistently and, you know, really solidly. So there's no doubt that everyone can be as solid as we are. And the only gap is in the mind. That's it, right? We're all in exactly the same ship. But some of you are just not recognizing or able to recognize that that's the case. And that's when you get the them and us mindset as well, right? That separation conversation that happens where they go, oh, it's all right for that person, or it's all right for that person, or it's all right for them that are ranked up, or whatever stories happen where it's the them and us. That's your conversation that you need to deal with. The minute you think them and us, you have a problem, right? That you need to de-root. All right, so have a look, go inside, work out where did that thinking come from? It's all right for people in Europe because they earn more. Maybe you might say if you're in another continent that earns less, guess what? There are people in continents that earn less that are killing the deal. All right. So again, if your mindset is, oh, you know, it's them and us, well, that's always going to hold you back. Them and us is small thinking. Big thinking is much more united. All right, much more inclusive, not exclusive. Cool. Keith?
I agree with you, but how do we get our Jedi's to have this long-term thinking, the vision? Because, of course, when we started, we had to have, it was all vision. It was not, there was nothing, there was no success. We got to a point where the company thought, well, it's not going to happen really. Let's get it down to 2 times, and just see how these guys go on. But we started off with nothing but vision. I'd be lying to say that I saw 1.5 million members 2.5 years ago, because not long after we started was COVID, was lockdown. But guess what? You and I said this is an opportunity because we got a captive audience. They got nowhere to go, no work.
No, everybody's home.
So we said, let's become Zoom Jedi Masters. That's what we said. I remember the conversation.
Day in, day out.
Crush Zoom. And to be perfectly fair, I think we've become the #1 networked opportunity on Zoom. There's nothing close to us. And the infrastructure with the training and nuts and bolts and leadership, come on. Okay, so we became Zoom Masters with great presenters, professional, on time, every time. Set your watch by us. We'll be here. Now,
Absolutely.
how do we get our Jedi's to have this long-term thinking right now when we're transitioning, when the benefits have changed as naturally would do, but it's still very, very generous. How do we get them to think about the future, the metaverse, hyperverse, how we fit in all of this? It's got to be education. It's got to be focus on what we've already done. Listen, let me tell you this now, guys. We have been tremendously successful. We've absolutely righted the wrongs of the past. All those companies that have done things to you, me, everyone else who tried their hand at crypto, we've certainly righted the wrongs of those companies. So we've become the redemption deal. Redeem yourself with your friends and family. We become that deal. Yeah. But how do we get our leaders, our Jedi's, to go out with full force, knowing they got the force, and we've got to just build and grow this community? Because, at the end of the day, it's still a very attractive opportunity for those that have never heard of hyperverse.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And
the
again,
guests have never heard of hyperverse. When they come to the calls, the webinars, this is exciting for them. And then you got those dark side, Darth Vader followers thinking, but it was better. What? Please.
I know.
Why would you do that? Because remember what it was like for you when you first registered here. And I always say, the new person has no clue of the past. They're just thinking, this is great in comparison to anything else that's out there. This is brilliant. There's that excitement. Why would you want to dampen that and steal and take their vision away, their hope, by talking about, well, it was generous before, it's not so generous now. It's brilliant for the guest.
Here's my reply to them. I say, here's what I've been saying to people that come to me with that. Listen, if you can find a more credible project that's offering better, come speak to me.
We've been saying it for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And we have had individuals offering us this deal, that deal. I won't mention any names.
Tons of that.
And they have come and gone. And the same individuals have come back and say, oh, how's this hyperverse going?
Yeah.
What?
Come and have a look. Come check it.
No, come and take another look.
Yeah, come take another look. We're still here.
Maybe
Which is the goal.
It wasn't attractive enough for you.
And then,
a new deal, and it changed. That's still attractive.
So look, do you know what? Again, it's such an important mindset shift, right? Because it is just mindset shift. Appreciating what you've got, like being in a state of gratitude, right? For me, like I say, to have a company that's got our back, for me, is more important than anything else. Yeah. To have owners that are just committed to solving whatever they need to solve and doing whatever they need to do to take us where they want to get to, where we all want to get to together, is more important than any of the details. Like, the details don't matter. When you think big picture, when you think long term, the details become irrelevant, right? The outcome becomes important. And the outcome remains the same. The outcome hasn't changed. We are still the biggest blockchain stroke crypto community in the world, in the world of networking, that is now offering that opportunity to work together as a community in the metaverse, which will go live in the next few months. So the outcome to be the biggest community in the network marketing space that offers people opportunities to work in the blockchain crypto space hasn't changed. So why are we getting tripped up by the little stuff, right? The journey has always got to be like the analogy that we always give. Everything needs adjusting along the way. Anything that doesn't adjust dies, all right? If it doesn't move with the times, it dies. If an airplane isn't adjusting, like every 30 seconds, it ends up in another destination, maybe the middle of the sea, all right? If big companies like Kodak say, no, we know what we're doing, we're not changing, guess what? They die. If big companies like Motorola and Nokia say, oh no, we know what we're doing, they die, all right? They're still around, but they're not the brands, they're not the players, they're not.
What about BlackBerry? Got it completely wrong. The future is QWERTY boards. Everybody wants to do the QWERTY board thing, click, click, click. That's what they said. Forget about smartphones. They're too big. Nobody wants that. That's what they said in 2007. Where is BlackBerry now?
Yeah. So, just again, a quick reminder, remind ourselves that change is good. Right? That's long-term thinking. Change is good. And we have change masters at the helm, right? These guys have dealt with more change than you and I ever will, because anyone that's built multiple multi-billion-dollar companies would have had to deal with change, because you don't build a multi-billion-dollar company in any space without handling change really well. All right, so that's just a given. So embrace change. I know it's a phrase that's often overused and under implemented. All right, like what does that even mean? It means that when change happens, find the good in it. All right, don't go to your default mechanism of finding the flaw or the fault in it. It's all mindset stuff, all of this, right? How does that little poster that does the round say? The wolf you feed is the one that grows stronger. Yeah, so you've got two wolves in your head. You've got one that's positive and one that's negative, and the one that you focus on is the one that's going to expand and take over. You choose your experience. You choose your reality, and I choose mine. And we end up with the result that we end up with based on what we chose to focus on. So get your heads back in gear. And one of the things you can do is to remind yourself of how to think long term. Read the company's long term vision. Like check out the white paper. Check out their video. That for me is always a go-to. Their video on Amazon Prime, right? That Amazon Prime video. Go watch it again. That teaches you about vision, right? How do you build a company? The industry around you collapses, turns into ashes, and you rise out of the ashes and still lead through the winter years of the industry.
And Calfish, talking about that, it was a very different industry 8 years ago, 7-8 years ago, very different than where it is now. There was no talk of Internet 3.0, metaverse. 7-8 years ago, that was never on the table. And these guys have managed to move with the times, change, refocus, new vision, new ideas, and just think about the individuals that are on board, thinking about the direction we're going and being abreast of all the changes within the industry. As I said, I've just come back from the huge convention, 50,000 people over 4 days. I've never seen so many exhibitors for a crypto event. So many ideas around the blockchain. Brilliant. And these guys are one step ahead with the metaverse, because that's where we're going. I'm excited, guys. Wow.
I'm always excited about
Red Bull.